Hey everybody, it's Eli Robinson, Chief Trivia Officer here at Water Cooler Trivia. Happy third week of July. The latest in our weekly series of bringing you a review of our trivia game this week, what people got right, what people got wrong, what was unexpected or surprising about what happened this week. You can find us online at watercoolertrivia.com. We run the internet's foremost trivia game weekly for companies that are trying to stay connected to each other in this remote and hybrid world. You can find us online at Watercooler Trivia or Chief Trivia Officer. So let's take a look at what it is that we got this week. First, starting off with the overall stats, so just over 2,800 users this week. An average of 7.02, so generally around where we would expect. Pretty happy with that. And a median of 7, which is our standard median, our median. That's a weird way to look at it. You can see our distribution of scores is pretty good. A pretty good chunk of perfect scores, just over 10%, which is awesome. And then we see that nice smooth peak around 7, 8, and 9, which is exactly where we want to be. A few more 4, 5, and 6s this week, but ultimately, I think when we talked about what the metagame was, I think a couple people kind of lost it, which was what kind of pushed people a little bit more down to the left. So let's start with question number 1. We used to think we were the center of the universe until Nicholas Copernicus helped establish heliocentrism, the idea that the Earth orbits what space thing? And you see some fun, freaky little image there. That space thing is, of course, the sun. 98% correct. Really happy with this as a Q1. As you guys know, we like to ease people into it. It seems like this is a fun fact that people know. And, you know, just very, very happy with all things here, Q1. You don't really know when you answer this question that you're playing a metagame, although by the time you get to Q10, perhaps you become aware. Number 2, ask XMen era Halle Berry, a disturbance of the normal condition of the atmosphere, manifesting itself by winds of unusual force or direction, often accompanied by rain, snow, hail, thunder, and lightning, or flying sand or dust, is a definition of what very, very generic meteorological word. You see a fun picture of a boat there. 89% correct. The answer is storm. So lower than we would have liked. I think that a couple things going on. One, the question is long, so I think people lose patience. 2, like definition questions sometimes rub people the wrong way. And ultimately, the answer is very, very generic. The answer is just storm. So we have the Halle Berry clue, which I thought was going to help people. Maybe we could have included a picture of Halle Berry that would have made it better. But ultimately, I think having this question, which is probably just a little too off the beaten path, like people just didn't really get it. When we get to question number 10, hopefully some people came back to this question later in order to kind of get it right. But 89% correct, a little bit lower than we wanted, but not bad. Number 3, the Roman god of commerce, liquid element number 80 on the periodic table, and a now defunct brand of the Ford Motor Company that was around from 1938 to 2011, all share what name? 93% correct. Of course, the answer is Mercury. So we ask a lot of these notable names questions, which is like, you know, how do you marry these things? Between the element and the car, you had 2 kind of access points. The Roman god of commerce is unlikely to be the way that you kind of like pull all this together. But, you know, I think there's only like 3 maybe liquid elements, so Mercury being one of them, and then a picture of a Mercury as well as Mercury being the Ford motor car. Question number 4. In one of SNL's most famous sketches ever, instead of aspirin or ibuprofen, Bruce Dickinson, yes, the Bruce Dickinson, prescribes more cowbell to cure what F-word condition otherwise known as pyrexia? You have a picture of Christopher Walken playing the Bruce Dickinson in that picture. 84% correct. The answer is fever. I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. This is obviously a very, very fun question. We're not trying to kind of be too serious with what's happening here. SNL is kind of this interesting thing. There's a lot of trivia generated by SNL. There's a lot of very, very famous skits. So we can't overdo it on the SNL, but it's like definitely something that we want to continue to include sparingly into our game. So how do you give people an entree to the answer if they don't watch SNL? So the answer is, instead of making the answer cowbell or whatever it may be, you kind of make the answer fever. You give F word. So I would imagine fever is the most common F malady. And then if you're really an MD, you know that fever and pyrexia are synonyms. Question number 5. With a dash of inspiration from John Locke, Thomas Jefferson dropped 3 inalienable rights of all humans in the Declaration of Independence: the pursuit of happiness, life, and what third thing that might ring a bell? So I believe when Locke put his inalienable rights together, they were life, liberty, and property. I think Thomas Jefferson thought that property wasn't necessarily appropriate for the D of I, so he went with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We included the ring a bell in order to help with the liberty side of things. Very impressed with the standard American civics knowledge here. I would have expected this to be in the 80s, instead 93%, way to go. A few people said bear arms, so the right to bear arms doesn't show up until the Bill of Rights, which I think is 1791. Also, kind of an interesting thought of, like, you know, when we declare independence, we want guns. That would have been interesting, but I was tickled by that. Question number 6. Rather than letting his career live and let die with the Beatles, what was the name of the high-flying band on the run Paul McCartney formed with his wife Linda in 1971? I believe they had somebody else or a couple more people in the group as well. 73% correct. Of course, the answer is Wings, or Paul McCartney and Wings, although I think they were just called Wings. The quizmaster thought that, you know, this was an interesting question to bring up. Not sure how many people would know it. 73% isn't that bad. Of course, we put a lot of cluing in there. So you have Live and Let Die, which was a song of Wings. By Wings. You have High Flying, which could have included, as well as Band on the Run, probably their most famous song. Band on the Run. You didn't come for the music, I guess. So we tried to put a lot of clues in there that would have helped you. Shout out to Sam at UX's5 for his answer. As a resident Brit, I am ashamed to say that I have no idea. I appreciated that. But you know, still, thanks for playing. And, you know, maybe you can find some good music at this point. Number 7, famous for being in the freshly murdered grip of Wild Bill Hickok, a dead man's hand in poker is a pair of 8s and a pair of what high cards? 74% correct. Of course, it is aces and 8s, the dead man's hand. I believe in a urban legend, they were both the black aces, but the dead man's hand, aces and 8s. You gotta wonder if people overthought this one. I would have imagined if you would have taken a wild guess, the aces are probably the most logical guess, although I guess kings with the Suicide King or whatever, like, is not that bad of a guess. But 74% correct was nice. A quick note here about the morbidity of questions. So, like, we don't like to ask about death, and so it's kind of like tough line for us to walk about, like, when you bring this up. I think somebody recently, one of our quiz writers, put an interesting question out there, which is, it's okay to talk about death if they would be dead by natural causes already, which is an interesting way to think about it. That, like, you know, it probably wouldn't have been an appropriate question in, you know, 1890 to ask this, but maybe ask it now. I don't know. We'll continue to evaluate it. We obviously are here to make people happy. This is an enjoyable game, an enjoyable company, but just wanted to kind of note that that's something that we think about. Question number 8. Wake up, people. Brush up on your own neurology to know that Rob Kardashian and Blac Chyna have a 5-year-old daughter named what Kardashian? Okay, so a few clues here. So 1 would be wake up, people. 2 is onerology. Wake up, people. And onerology is the study of dreams. The answer is, I believe, Dream Renee Kardashian, or just Dream. 55% correct. So a quick couple notes about this question. This question pissed people off, I'm going to be honest with you. We got a lot of people basically using the free response forum to basically be like, you know, screw you. I thought the most interesting way to put it was celebrity gossip isn't pop culture. And so we have to check ourselves on an interesting line here. Like, I would firmly defend that, you know, the Kardashian grandchildren are well within pop culture. We obviously are not here to upset people, and we don't want to upset people. The Kardashians perhaps have some sort of hot button relationship with a certain side of America or Americans or people in the world. So I wonder, right? Because celebrities and celebrity gossip is almost certainly going to be a part of what we do going forward. It could just be the Kardashians themselves are you know, emblematic of issues that people have, but was certainly aware of the fact that this question ended up really upsetting people, even though I thought it was pretty straightforward and easy. My favorite answer, Dream. I know this one, lol, sad. This is clearly someone who perhaps struggled with the rest of the quiz, and this was like, holy shit, I know number 8. But I don't know, enjoyable either way. Number 9, let's go Wildcats. Along with the Eurasian, Canadian, and Iberian species, bobcats are a part of what genus of feline known for the luminescence of their reflective eyes? You see a picture of a lynx there. The answer is lynx. So 60% correct. I really like where this one shook out. I worried that this one was going to be a lot harder than it turned out to be. So 60% is nice. Could have been cheating. Could have been, there's just way more information and knowledge about bobcats in the world than I thought. I really enjoyed the answer. As a Kentuckian, I feel like I should know that this, Are they all cats? 7th grade me is angry right now. Felinus, that can't be a team. Oh well. So they realized the metagame, which we'll get to in number 10. Also, the fact that they're from Kentucky, it's the Kentucky Wildcats, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Kentucky likes basketball, so like that was like a very, very fun answer for me. And then, of course, question number 10, the answer to the previous questions are 9 of the 12 teams in what pro sports league? So most of our revealers have had a much higher correct percentage than this. And so I think a lot of the reason that the scores were lower is because that people got to the end of the game, they figured out that there was a revealer, and they actually didn't know, right? And so we refer, in this question, there is no reference to basketball, there's no reference to women's sports, which were the two entrees to getting the answer, which is, of course, the WNBA. And so, like, I'm happy that, like, this ended up being tricky, but, like, I'm not so happy that, like, perhaps we might have done a better job of like maybe even getting this question like up to 80% by saying like basketball or women. I don't know. And then there was a shout out to the NBA. I'm so sick of this bullshit. 10th question. Let me tell you now. So we've had 3 weeks in a row of like the 10th question being a revealer to the other 9. So I have good news for you for the next 2 weeks. The 10th question is not going to be germane to getting all the answers to the rest of them. You're welcome, but really happy with where the game ended up. Here are the answers. The Sun, which is, who is the Sun? Phoenix? No, they're the Mercury. The Connecticut Sun. The Seattle Storm, Phoenix Mercury, Indiana Fever, New York Liberty, Dallas Wings, Las Vegas Aces, Atlanta Dream, and Minnesota Lynx for the WNBA. The 3 teams that were not here were the Washington Mystics, the Chicago Sky, and the LA Sparks, but those are the 12 teams that are playing in the WNBA right now. Very happy, generally trending more difficult as the quiz goes, like most of everything. Here are the stats again, 2,800 people. That's how it phased out over the 10. So good job to everybody who got a perfect score, even 7, 8, 9. Way to go. Once again, I'm Eli Robinson. It's been the 3rd week of July. I'm the Chief Trivia Officer here at Water Cooler Trivia. If you want to play some trivia with your coworkers and are looking for a fun way to do it every week, you know where to find us, watercoolertrivia.com. Catch you later.